Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome into First Pitch World Series edition. Also, welcome into the month of November. November 1st here. I am Drew Martin, joined by Dave Koken and Steve Merrill of WagerTalk.com. We are previewing Game 3 of the World Series. Two of the better baseball betting minds in the business. Dave Koken, follow him on Twitter at Dave Koken. Check him out, WagerTalk.com. Dave, welcome in. Happy Tuesday morning to you.
Thanks, Drew. Looking forward to a weather-free Game 3, hopefully. These rain delays are not a lot of fun. That's what happens when you're playing baseball in November, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. At least they postponed it here, so we will get Game 3 instead of making people wait, I guess, forever, like what happened in the Yankees game, just a series or two ago. But Steve, always good to be on with you, man. Check him out at WagerTalk.com, on Twitter as well, at Steve Merrill. Happy Tuesday morning to you. Welcome into First Pitch.
Thanks, Drew. Good to see you, Dave. And yeah, it was the right call last night. In fact, if you looked at the advanced forecast late afternoon, it was 100% rain forecast between 7 and midnight Eastern time in Philly. So definitely was the right move. Would have been fun to see a Halloween game in Philadelphia. Those Philly fans were going berserk to go to the first World Series game in over a decade, and it would have been pretty interesting. But get a little extra time to rest up for tonight. Weather will not be an issue tonight. It's going to be pretty nice, low 60s, high 50s. And wind, when I checked earlier this afternoon, was going left to right, right to left, rather, across the infield, about 11 miles an hour. So we'll keep an eye on that. But weather conditions look pretty good this evening for Game 3. It did impact the pitching rotations a bit. We'll talk about that more in a minute.
We absolutely will, Steve. Let's get into it now, guys. We got McCullers versus a change here for the Philadelphia Phillies. Starting pitcher, they're going to go with Suarez. Looks like scratching Syndergaard. And there was a little bit of a change here, Dave, coming to you first. Saw what Houston, about minus 130-ish, we could call it, last night. Now only minus 120-ish, so the market giving a little respect, at least in my opinion, to Suarez, about a dime. Total of 8. What do you think of Game 3 in Philadelphia tonight, Dave?
Well, I think the line move makes sense because Suarez is particularly, it's going to be relievers. Syndergaard maybe once through the lineup. We'll see how that plays out. The problem here for Philly is Suarez is a lefty, and that's really bad news against this Astros offense. 7 righty hitters in the lineup. They have killed lefties all season. WRC plus is off the charts against lefties. So while I've got a lot of respect for Suarez, I think he's got a very difficult assignment ahead of him tonight. McCullers, I'm not saying he's going to dominate the Phillies, but he's more likely to be dominant than Suarez is. The two middle heads are completely fresh, which I think is, while the Phillies' pen has been solid, I think it's still an advantage for Houston. And the price dropping here points me to the Astros side. I think you can make a case. This line's a little bit short at this number. And I like the Houston side tonight. I played the Astros and feel good about the wager.
Sure. Dave, I'm with you. Steve, coming to you next. I think this does give us a little kind of buy low. I mean, minus 120 looks to be the low water mark when you look at the Wager Talk Live odds screen right now. Heck, even lower than that. It's actually moving minus 115. It's circa in Las Vegas. And do want to bring up the fact, last time Suarez, to Dave's point, pitched against the Houston Astros, it was October 4th, about a month ago almost now. And he gave up 6 earned runs, 3 home runs, Steve. They lost that game 10-0. So the market moving towards him, I think Dave brings up a good point. Weighted runs created plus, that's where the Astros really smoke lefties. They're getting a lefty starter tonight. What are you thinking in Philadelphia, Steve?
Yeah, Drew, if you remember back when we did the series preview last Thursday, you, me, and Brian Leonard here, I mentioned how both teams have been stronger this year against left-handed pitchers than righties. And then Brian Leonard had the excellent point that the Astros bullpen uses all right-handers. They did add one left-hander, by the way, to the roster for the World Series, but all season long, those shutdown bullpen guys have been right-handers. And now tonight we have a lefty-righty matchup, so that should favor the Astros offense on the surface. And then you mentioned how the Astros hit Suarez well. In fact, the current lineup right now going into tonight is a 444 batting average against Suarez. Now, it's not a lot of at-bats, but obviously they've been successful, whereas the Phillies' current lineup, just 12 for 56, 214 batting average against McCullers during their career. So you can definitely make a case that the pitching matchup probably favors Houston here. Also, I want to point out that the adjusted series price right now, if you're looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, is around minus 170 for the Astros. So quite a difference here in what should be a pivotal Game 3. I know it's a 7-game series. It's not a 5, but Game 3 in a 1-1 series is pretty pivotal still. Astros only $1.20 favorite in Game 3, yet they're $1.70 favorite to win the series. So some interesting stuff you could probably do with that as well. And, of course, as you see on the screen, it is a 2-3-2. So Philly theoretically has home field advantage now after splitting at Houston. Higher total than we've seen in other games as well here, 7.5s, even some 8s floating around. First 2 games were 6.5 to the over, 7 to the under. Both of those around that key number. And, of course, we've seen offense in both games by the Astros, exactly 5 runs. Keep in mind, Philly got that meaningless second run with 2 outs, 9th inning, but that landed right on the total to make it 5-2. So that was a tough break for anybody that had the under in Game 2 the other night on Saturday. But, yeah, it looks like both offenses should pick it up. But on the surface, you can make a case that Houston has the offensive edge once again in Game 3 tonight. And like Dave said, the bullpens are rested. Philly has played better recently than their overall seasonal stats, but Houston's been fantastic all year long. 2.6 ERA, 1.1 whip. Philly's bullpen, a 4.1 ERA, 1.37 whip. And Houston fully rested here after a couple of days. Because don't forget, Sunday was a travel day, so these teams have been off for 2 full days. Will also be interesting to see if they come out a little flat tonight offensively. If that's the case, the early pitching edge might go to the Astros and the Phillies.
Good points there, Steve. Guys, we'll go around the horn here, get final looks. Any best bets if we got them. Do want to throw out a couple stats. Actually, piggybacking on what Steve talked about 2-3-2, the last team to sweep, that middle 3 being at home, was the Philadelphia Phillies in 2008. They swept the Tampa Bay Rays to become the World Series champs. Also, Philadelphia's 21-9. We've been giving a lot of props here to the Stros side. There are a couple trends, I guess we could call them, pointing towards the Phillies. 21-9, that's a 700 winning percentage in the postseason at their home ballpark, Citizens Bank Park. That's the best ever of any team with a minimum of 20 postseason games, a 700 win percentage. So do want to give them credit for that. That includes 7-0 last playoff run to the World Series in 2008 and 5-0 so far this year, with a run differential this year in Citizens Bank Park of 35-15 favoring Philadelphia. The importance of Game 3, guys, in best of 7 series, the winner of Game 3 has gone on to win the series 69% of the time when the series is tied 1-1. So tonight, very critical here. And Dave brought it up earlier. Steve touched on it as well. In terms of both of these two bullpens pitching very well. The Philadelphia Phillies have pitched 8.2 innings in the World Series, all scoreless. So all of Houston's runs have come 6th inning or earlier, something to watch out in the later innings. And Houston's bullpen throughout the whole postseason, guys, 40.2 innings pitched, 4 earned runs in the postseason. That's a .89 ERA, all 4 runs off of solo home runs. So both of these two bullpens pitching lights out of late. Something to watch in Game 3. Dave, throw it over to you guys. Check them out, WagerTalk.com. Any final thoughts here for the World Series? And if you got a best bet or a look you're looking to go after?
I've read the Astros tonight. The one comment I want to make is this is not the time of year where you're looking to get extra rest for your best pitcher. His velocity was down last start. He had a shoulder problem that put him on the injured list, came out of that okay. He did get hit by a batted ball. I'm not sure that really is having an impact. I think there's an issue there. And it's too bad because you don't want your number one guy maybe struggling health-wise in the World Series, but nobody can convince me at this point that Wheeler is less than 100%, and I think that's going to be a problem for the Phillies as we move forward in this series.
Sure, his velocity was down, something to watch there. Looks to be slated to go in Game 5, so something to maybe, look to fade on Zach Wheeler. Good point there, Dave. Steve, coming to you next, guys.
Real quick. If the Phillies lose this game, I mean, obviously Nola's going in Game 4, but to me, this rotation would not be set up the way it is currently if Wheeler was 100%. I don't think there's any way they'd be using Syndergaard and company in any game. So we'll see what happens there. Nola is going to pitch Game 4. That I can pretty much guarantee you.
Actually, Dave, I was thinking that when they went into Game 1, and if you remember, they had Wheeler slated to go, and then they changed it to Nola. And I think you're spot on there, because if I was the manager and Wheeler was 100%, I would try to go like Game 1, and then when he's ready to go again. Try to get him like 3 times in the series. Yeah,
I mean, you want your best guy to get as many innings as you can in the World Series. Who cares if he's tired? You got all winter to rest up. The fact that they are looking to have to create a way to get Wheeler in with extra rest, that to me is a big red flag.
Sure. I mean, we've seen it in the past when guys have a real big ace. I remember Josh Beckett for the 03 Marlins, where you go, Pedro Martinez did it at times, Game 1, Game 4, try to go again, Game 7. It is possible to do. So, I think you're onto something there. He really might be injured, Dave. Steve, final thoughts here. If you got a best bet, throw it out, man.
Well, I actually do have a best bet in this game, but it's for my personal clients, so I don't want to give that away here. It's not free to those that buy the subscriptions, but I also have 2 NBA best bets tonight, so I do recommend people go to WagerTalk.com, check out that powerful 3-game lineup for Tuesday night. NBA is here. It's November 1st. College basketball starts in 6 days. Might be a good time to get an all-access, all-sports subscription. And I've got a discount for a 7-day and a little inside information. You can stack it. It's stackable. That means you can buy 2 or 3 in a row and make it a 14 or a 21-day. You save $30 on every one of those. You save up to $90 on a 3-week. Full details on my page, SteveMerrillWagerTalk.com, promo code ACCESS7. So check that out. I want to revisit the MVP odds, some stuff we talked about before the series. And I mentioned how a pitcher's only won it twice in the last 7 World Series. And Verlander, of course, was the favorite among the pitchers. He did not have another good outing. He's now winless in his World Series career. A 6.07 ERA. He's now 80-1. So I don't think that's going to happen. But the top pitcher on the board now, and he's 4th overall in the MVP odds at some sports books, is Valdez, Houston's Game 2 starter, who pitched really a solid 5 innings. He's at 7-1. And, if you guys are right about Wheeler not being himself, and if Verlander, struggles or has a mediocre win, Valdez could very well clinch the series. He could get another win against Wheeler in his second start. So that's a guy to keep an eye on at 7-1. And by the way, Bregman, Tucker are both 5.5-1. Bryce Harper 6-1. But keep in mind, the losing team only once since 1955 has won the MVP award. That was in 1960 with the Yankees and Richardson. So if you think Harper's going to win it, that would be a little bit of a hedge maybe to a Phillies, plus 140 series price instead. But otherwise, it looks like it's going to be Houston, Bregman, Tucker, or Valdez at 7-1 could be worth a look.
He's Steve Merrill. You heard from Dave Koken as well. I am Drew Martin. Check it out. WagerTalk.com, guys. That does it for the Game 3 preview here on First Pitch. We'll be back tomorrow previewing Game 4. Come back and join us. If you like the content, please smash the like button. Feel free to comment below. Any questions, we'll hammer them out on tomorrow's show. Let us know what you're betting as well. For Dave and Steve, I am Drew. Cash those tickets. Enjoy the game tonight.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.